Hey, how are you,
Hello.
Jen?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I've been better. I'm a little sick, but I'm doing good.
Good. Good. Was it the beach?
No, I don't know. I think my family had something and I was hanging out with my family over the weekend. So I just caught whatever they had. I don't know what it is. It's just like fever, sore throat, stuff like that.
Yeah, I had that.
So that's why I was like, no in-person meeting today because I don't want to get blamed for everybody getting sick, you know? I'm just gonna give like a couple minutes for like people to join, okay? Hello, everyone. Hey, Tyler, I see you just hopped in.
Hello.
Morning or good afternoon now. It's noon.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I'm just giving a couple minutes for late people to join in, and then I'll be starting in like 3 minutes. I just sent a last warning on the group chat. Sorry if I sound a little stuffy. I'm a little sick today, so don't mind the congestion. All right. So there's a 1-minute warning. We're starting at 12:05. I'm not giving any longer than 5 minutes. All right, everybody. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Can everyone hear me? Just give me a thumbs up or something in the chat letting me know you can hear me and that you can see my screen. I would greatly appreciate that. All right, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Jennifer. I am the manager here at the Orlando headquarter office by downtown Orlando. I am going to be doing a training today on the as-is purchase contract. Hello, everyone. I just asked that you put it on mute so that everyone can hear me, at least for now. Okay, so let's get started. As many of you may already know, the as-is purchase contract is the main contract that us as realtors use to submit offers on properties. And most of the time when you're representing a buyer, this is the main contract that you're going to be filling out when you're submitting offers and trying to get a house under contract. So, many of you are new agents, many of you are not, but I just want to start off as if nobody knows what they're doing with this contract, okay? So if you are in your transaction desk, which everybody should have access to by now, if you don't have access to transaction desk, you do need to email Carolina, that's Carolina with a K, at lifestyleintrealty.com. You will have to email her and request your login details for transaction desk. That's very important. That should be one of the first things you take care of when you join Lifestyle Realty. That will help you get up for or set up for success. So that way you will be ready to go when your clients are ready to start putting offers on homes, okay? So if you're looking at transaction desk, you're gonna go to forms, and then you're gonna go to add here on the side. And you're gonna come down to FARBAR residential contracts. Those are attorney approved contracts that we all use. And you're gonna come here to as is residential contract for sale and purchase. Okay, this is the most important contract you're gonna be using when submitting offers, okay? So let's just click on that and open that up. Give me 1 second. Come on. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Sorry, guys. I don't know why my computer's being slow. Give me a second. Okay, there it is. All right, guys. So here on the screen, you will see the as-is residential contract for sale and purchase, okay? For the most part, most listing agents and sellers are only going to accept an as-is residential contract. They're not going to accept, most of the time, any other forms of the purchase contract because nowadays, especially in this seller's market, most people are not accepting contingencies and repairs and all that good stuff. So most of the time, it's going to be the as-is residential contract that you will be using, okay? So basically, this is a 12-page contract that lays out an agreement between the buyer and the seller to purchase a specific property or parcel of land, okay? Basically, this is going to be an agreement between the buyer and seller that kind of lays out the terms, the closing date, the purchase price, contingencies, any addendums that are required depending on the property. So this is going to definitely be your main contract that you will be using most of the time if you are a buyer's agent, okay? So especially as a listing agent, you're going to need to know how to review this contract because you will be reviewing offers with your seller. So you're going to want to know this contract no matter what side you're dealing with, okay? So you're going to really have to get to know this contract from top to bottom, all 12 pages, because clients will ask you questions about it and they will want to know, what am I signing? What is this document that you're sending me? You know, people get nervous when they have to sign paperwork. So you have to make sure you understand what's going on and how to explain this contract properly to every client, especially when you have first-time home buyers, first-time sellers. They may not know this contract, may not recognize it, so you will have to explain things to them sometimes. So you're always going to want to start here up in the seller line, okay? So let's just pretend that we're representing a buyer and that we're filling out this contract as we are a buyer's agent and we're trying to submit an offer on a home or property, whatever, for a client, okay? So you're always going to want to start off in the parties. It's very important that you always use the legal names of both buyer and seller, which means it has to be the names that they have on a legal ID, a Florida license, a passport, anything that is legally issued by the government. That is the name that has to be on here. So make sure you get your clients' full names before you fill out your contracts, because it is very important that you get the names correct on here, okay? So let's just say, for example, our seller is Joe Smith. Okay, we're gonna just add in the seller's name. That can usually be found. Hello. Welcome, everyone. I just asked that you mute your audio if it's loud where you're at. Thank you. Okay, anyways, back to where I was. You're gonna fill out the seller name, okay? You will be able to find this in public records. Also, you sometimes will be able to find this on the MLS under the owner name. Sometimes it will be there, sometimes it won't. So sometimes you will have to go to Realist or the property appraiser website in order to find the correct name of the sellers. So let's just say I went on Realist through the MLS, which is a linked tax website, which is all directly connected to the public records. And I found that the seller's name is Joe Smith, okay? So I'm just gonna write Joe Smith. If you have two owners, you're always gonna put Joe Smith and Betty White, okay? I'm using really just generic names here, okay? So if you have two sellers, you would put Joe Smith and Betty White here on the seller line. For now, we're just gonna go for one, okay? So we're just going to delete Betty White. Let's just say Joe Smith is the seller here, okay? And now my client, since I'm representing the buyer, their name is gonna go here in the buyer line, okay? So let's just say, for example, I am representing a client and her name is Jessica, man, I'm drawing a blank for making up names here. Let's just say Jessica White, okay? So a seller is Joe Smith. My client is Jessica White. She loved this property. She called me up. She said, Jen, I want to submit an offer on this home. Can you please make it happen for me? And I said, sure, let me start working on that contract, okay? So I'm gonna put her name here in buyers and I'm gonna put the seller's name in the seller line. Now here in the street address under property description, I am going to need to write out the property here. So let's just say it's 123 Somber Way, okay? Orlando, Florida. I'm just using that because I'm here in Orlando. 32803. I'm just making all this up just to give you guys an example of how to fill it out, okay? So now I got to look in the MLS unless I know my locations, which most of you should. Let's just say Orange County right here, okay? And then here, you're going to have to enter the tax ID number. You will be able to find this tax ID number in the MLS, okay? So you can always just go ahead and copy and paste that number here to the tax ID section of the contract. You can also find that tax ID number in the realist public records or on the property appraiser website for whatever county the property is. So this one, for example, I would go to the Orange County Property Appraiser website, look up this address, and I would be able to find the tax ID and the legal description required for this contract. So make sure it's very important that you find the correct information on that and that you copy and paste the tax ID here and the legal description here, okay? This is how they are able to identify a property in public records. Okay, so make sure you have these filled out correctly before you move on, okay? So now you have personal property here, okay? This is basically meaning what exactly what is the buyer?
I leave on Sunday, so I'm not sure. Yeah, not sure yet. I try because I know.
Hold on, guys.
That's what Tuesday, right? No, I'm not gonna be here, but I'm gonna be out of commission for the whole entire week.
Sebastian, can you please mute your phone?
And who's talking about it? It's way too loud.
For a lot of late drives. I wonder if I could schedule something. I wonder if there's a way that I could see if I can still because I signed up for the headshot still through eBright because they said it.
Oh, I found their profile. I muted it. Okay, now let's keep going. All right. So where was I? Okay, personal property. Now here under personal property, this is going to basically lay out what the sellers are selling and giving with the house that is not actually attached to the house. So for example, this is going to include the refrigerator, the oven, okay, the microwave, a washer, dryer, any water filters, solar panels, light fixtures, all that kind of stuff that can be taken are going to be here in the contract. And it's basically going to lay out on the MLS what these sellers are including with the sale, okay, and what they are not including with the sale. Okay, so for the most part here, if you read, it says the following items which are owned by seller and existing on the property as of the date of the initial offer are included in the purchase. And here it lists out range/oven, refrigerator, dishwasher, disposal, ceiling fans, light fixtures, drapery rods, draperies, blinds, window treatments, smoke detector, garage door openers, thermostats, doorbells, television wall mounts, hardware, security gate, and other access devices, mailbox keys, and storm shutters, storm protection items, okay? So all of that is already built into the as-is contract to be included with the sale, okay? Anything extra, such as a washer, a dryer, solar panels, a water filtration system, all that is going to have to be added here as other personal property items included in this purchase are. And you would just type it out here. So say, for example, you know, Jessica says, yeah, I don't have a washer dryer. And I know that, you know, these sellers are including washer dryer. So I would just put washer little comma, and then put dryer here. Because washer and dryer are not included with personal property that are already here in the contract. So just to cover my bases and protect my client, I'm going to add that in here so that there's no disagreements later on as to what's included and what's not. Now, for example, if the seller comes to you and says, actually, you know, we are not going to leave behind our fridge. Okay, we bought a brand new fridge. We want to bring it with us. It cost us a lot of money. Your clients will have to buy their own. All right, which is a rare situation, but you know, sometimes it happens. Then you would come here where it says the following items are excluded from the purchase. And you would put here refrigerator so that your client knows the refrigerator is not included with the sale. Okay, so make sure you have that worked out in this under personal property so you know what's going to be left in the house for your client and what the sellers are taking with them, okay? Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry, my throat. Okay, so here is the most important part, which is gonna be the purchase price. You're definitely gonna wanna make sure you fill this out correctly, because if you mess this up, you know, could mess up the whole deal. You know, no pressure at all. But so basically, let's say Jessica just saw this beautiful home in downtown, little 2-bedroom just for herself at 280, let's just say, okay? So we're gonna put 280 here as the purchase price because that's what she wants to offer on the house. And I already ran the comps for her. We discussed a good number. It's within her budget. So we're gonna go with 280, all right? Now, initial deposit. People have a lot of questions about this. You know, in order to make your offers more competitive, you're gonna want your clients or to recommend that your clients put down at least 2 to 3% of the purchase price. Because, you know, in this market, you are gonna be dealing with competing against multiple offers, which is the case right now in Orlando. Mostly every single property, unless it's a fixer-upper, are gonna have multiple offers on the home. So you really wanna be competitive here with the purchase price and the initial deposit, all right? So if we do just 2% of 280 times 0.02, I'm gonna get $5,600, okay? Let me just do that one more time to make sure my math is correct. Always double check your numbers. That's very, very important. This is a big purchase for your clients, so make sure you get those numbers right, okay? So 5,600 would be 2%. So we're gonna go with 5 grand just to make it an even number here. So we're gonna go with 5,000 in escrow to be competitive. Now here also is very important, check one. This is pertaining to your client making that deposit to the title company. So if you check the first box, this one, that means that your client is submitting escrow with the offer, which means escrow has to be deposited as soon as the purchase contract is signed by the seller. Okay, if your clients need time to move money around, to make it to the bank, to make calls, whatever they got to do, then you're going to want to check this box here and put how many days they need in order to deposit that money to title. Okay, so typically what I like to do for my clients is 3 days. I usually don't give them any more than that because you know you don't want to keep the sellers waiting too long either. Okay, so I'm going to check this box here and I'm going to put within 3 days, they have to make this $5,000 deposit to whatever title company they have on the MLS. Most listing agents will have their title company at the very bottom of the MLS listing. So you're just going to copy and paste that information from the MLS here into the escrow agent name. Okay. So let's just say, for example, we're using our in-house title company, which is New World Title. Okay. So we're just going to put the name of the company there. Then we're gonna put the address of New World Title that we're going with, email, and phone here of the title company. Usually the listing agent will have it, but sometimes you will come across listings that do not have the title company information. You will have to directly reach out to the listing agent, shoot them a text or give them a call and say, hey, I'm working on an offer for your seller. Can you please give me the title company information so that I can add that to the contract? So sometimes you will have to go out of your way to get that information, but for the most part, you want to try and take care of that from the very beginning. That way you don't have to go back and edit the contracts later on. So it just makes your life easier. So I would just say to just try and get that information from the very beginning. Okay. Now let's keep
Can I
going.
take a question?
Sure.
So in that case is if New World Title was not the title that we are, that the seller already choose their title company, right?
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, no problem. Yeah, so New World Title, I'm just using this as an example because this is our title company. But for the most part, you're just going to be using whatever title that is on the MLS listing or whatever information the listing agent is going to give you, okay? So additional deposit, you know, if you want to be a little bit more competitive, you can add in an additional deposit. This is not really a common situation, however, so I wouldn't really mess with that if I were you. Now, financing in part C here, okay? This is very important. This is basically the amount of the loan that your clients are taking out. Of course, if they are cash buyers, then you wouldn't even have to worry about this financing part. But if you are dealing with buyers who are using a loan, which for the most part, most of your clients will be using loans, you're going to want to put the financed amount here. So let's say, for example, Jessica is using a conventional loan at 5% down. Okay, that's a pretty common loan for a lot of people. So let's just use that as an example for this situation. Jessica has already been pre-approved for up to $300,000 conventional at 5% down payment. It's very important that you understand these things when dealing with buyers. Make sure you understand which loan they are approved for and how much their down payment is, okay? Because you will have to know that information to fill out this contract, okay? So when you come here to financing, we're gonna have to do a little bit of math here, okay? So we're gonna do 280, and we're gonna multiply that by her down payment, which is, like I said, 5%, okay? So you're gonna multiply 280 times 0.05, and that equals $14,000. So her payment on this loan, or her down payment on this loan would be 14 grand, okay? So we put up here that she's putting 5 grand down at the very beginning. So that means that after she pays escrow of 5,000, she will owe 9,000 after that. So that is going to be her balance to close is 9,000. Okay. So we're just going to do 280 minus 14,000, which is her down payment, because that's what she's putting out of her own pocket, and everything is going to be financed after that. So we have to subtract 14 grand from the 280, and that will give me 266,000. That is after down payment. So that is what I'm going to put here is 266, because that is the amount that is going to be financed by the lender. And then it'll automatically plug in 9,000 here, which is her balance to close. That basically means what they have to pay out of their pocket at closing, okay? So basically she's just paying the remainder of the down payment right here on balance to close, because she already put 5 grand in escrow at the beginning, and then at closing, she's gonna pay the rest of her down payment right here, okay? So let's just go over it one quick time. It's very important that you understand this part of the contract. It's the most important. So purchase price, 280. My client is approved conventional at 5% down. She's putting down $5,000 in escrow. In 3 days, we're giving her 3, that's business days, guys, business days, because you cannot make a wire on the weekends, all right? So that's gonna be business days. I suggest if you're submitting an offer on a Friday or a Saturday, I suggest adding maybe an extra day just to give them time if the cutoff is like on a Monday or something. You wanna give them time to do it during business days, of course. So then you're gonna come down here, financing, that is the amount, the purchase price, subtracting the full down payment, which is $14,000. So I just subtracted 14,000 from 280. That's how I got 266 here, which is going to be in part C, which is the amount that will be financed. That automatically gives us a $9,000 balance to close. Okay, that means she will owe 9 grand at closing of this sale. So let's move on to part 3, time for acceptance of offer. Okay, so here, this is basically going to be how long are you giving the seller and the listing agent time to consider and accept this offer. Now, once this date expires, that means that this offer has expired. All right, so make sure that you're giving enough time for the listing agent and the seller to review your client's offer, but at the same time, you don't want to give them too much time, okay? Because it is a fast-paced market right now. So typically, I like to put about 2 days at the most. Sometimes I'll put 1 day. So it just depends on, you know, how much activity the property is getting and how fast you got to move on it. So today is June 7th. So if I were submitting this offer today, I'm going to give them 2 days from today. So that means I'm going to put by Thursday, they have to give us an answer. So I'm going to put 6, or you can click on the little calendar, make it easier on you. Today's the 7th. I'm going to give them till the 9th, which gives them 2 days to review our offer. So I'm just going to click that. And it's automatically going to plug in June 9th for me. So that means after June 9th at 12 midnight, this offer will be expired if they have not signed it. Okay. Now let's keep going. Part 4 is going to be closing dates. This is also very important. Some sellers want to close quickly. Some sellers need time because they have to move out or they're waiting on another transaction to close so they can move in the new house. So you always want to kind of, you know, gauge the situation, talk to the listing agent, see what's going on with the sellers and try to go from there, okay? As a buyer's agent, especially as a professional buyer's agent, this is going to be on you to really try and get the insider information on what's going on with the sellers and how much time they need. Because some sellers will say, we want to close right away. The property's vacant. We've been wanting to get rid of it. Let's go. Then you'll have other sellers like, no, we can't close that soon. We need time. We have our grandparents here. We need to move. We're still packing. So you'll have different situations there. So gauge the situation and see when they are ready to close. So this one, I'm just going to say it's a traditional 30 to 35 day close. So we're going to do that from the day of acceptance, which is the 9th, which is the last day we gave them. Okay, 30 days from that would be the beginning of July. So we'll just do July 8th here. Okay, so that will give us about almost a full 30 days for closing. All right, our lenders already said they can close during that time. It's very important to call your lender that you're working with as well and make sure that this date works for them too, because they have to make sure they can close by this date too. So always make sure that you're double checking with your lenders before submitting these offers as well, okay? So extension of closing date, that happens sometimes. Occupancy and possession. This is if you're gonna be doing a post occupancy or you have tenants. I wouldn't worry about that right now. Now here, number 7, assignability. This is very important. You are going to have to make sure that you fill this out. It's usually going to be may not assign this contract. Basically, this means that they could pass off these contractual obligations to somebody else, which most of the time, most sellers are not going to accept that. So you're always going to want to put may not assign this contract because the full responsibility is on my client, Jessica, and nobody else. Okay. So financing. Okay. This is very important as well. All right. You're going to have to make sure you fill this section out correctly. All right. If you're dealing with a cash client, you're going to want to check the first box, which is this is a cash transaction with no financing contingency. Now, obviously, I'm not dealing with a cash buyer here. So I'm going to click B. This contract is contingent upon, all right, usually loan approvals take up to 30 days. So we're just going to leave this blank, which will leave it at 30 days. Okay. And we're going to come here and we're going to click this box next to conventional because she is pre-approved for a conventional loan. All right. You also have the option to check FHA, VA, or other. Sometimes you'll have hard money loans, you'll have private lenders, you might have a USDA loan. So there are different types that are not included in here. So if it were that case, you could just click other, and then you can just put, if you're dealing with an investor who's using hard money, you can just put HML, hard money loan. Or if you're dealing with a private loan, you can do private lender, just like that, okay? Obviously we're using conventional, so we're just gonna delete that. So next you're gonna put check 1, okay? This is for the interest rate. You are not the bank, you are not the lender, all right? So you never want to put any type of assurance on interest rates for your clients, all right? Just put fixed. You also have an option for adjustable. Those are not as common as fixed loans, but your lender should inform you that it is an adjustable rate mortgage if that's the case. But most of the time it's going to be fixed. So just click fixed, okay? There's also an option C, which is fixed or adjustable if you're not really sure, okay? But most of the time it's just gonna be fixed. So now you keep going. You did the financing part, okay? There's a lot in this contract, all right? So you might wanna go through it all in your own time. I don't have time to go over every single, part of this contract because it is 12 pages and I only have an hour. So I'm just gonna keep going on the most important parts that you guys will be dealing with. So here in closing costs, fees, and charges, all right? This basically lays out any costs to be paid by seller in part A, and then part B is going to be costs to be paid by buyer. All right. This is where I typically include our $395 transaction fee. Okay. I always put that here. So I'll put $395, well, not 395,000, definitely not. And then I'll just put transaction fee to lifestyle realty. Okay. So the reason why I'm so specific with my wording is so that there are no misinterpretations or misunderstandings on this fee. This is not a fee that I'm charging because I want extra money. A lot of clients won't understand why they have to pay this fee. Sometimes they think you're just trying to get more money or just trying to charge them extra. So it's very important to explain that this fee is not going to you, that it is going to Lifestyle Realty, and that is a fee that is on every single transaction done through the brokerage. There's no way around it. And you don't want to pay that out of pocket. We already pay enough out of pocket. So just charge that to your clients by adding that here in the other section of cost to be paid by buyer. Now, if you're on the listing side and you're representing the seller, you're going to want to include that $395 transaction fee in the listing agreement, but you can also add it here, other section of cost to be paid by seller in part A. I usually just include it in both contracts, in the listing agreement and the purchase contract. That way there's no confusions or misunderstandings there, because when it comes to money, you never know. So I just always put it in both when I'm representing sellers. So that's up to you, okay? But right now we're dealing with a buyer. So we're gonna put it in part B where it says cost to be paid by buyer, and we're gonna add that here, okay? So that way, especially when you send this contract to the title company, they will see that you already included your fee. So that way they can charge that to the client at closing, okay? Now, part C, title evidence and insurance, okay? Typically, this is going to be through the title company that they provide the owner's policy and title insurance. So you're gonna wanna leave that blank because that will leave 15 days. So typically they can have that out within a couple weeks if they are on top of the due diligence that they are responsible for. So I always just leave that blank, all right? Sometimes they might take a little longer, but it's all right. So check one, okay. Basically, this is laying out who is choosing title and paying for owner's policy, all that good stuff. So obviously in Orlando, sellers do that. So we're just going to check the first option, which is seller shall designate closing agent and pay for owner's policy. So this is basically saying that the seller will choose the closing title company and they will pay for the owner's policy. All right. That's typically the norm here in Orlando right now. So we're going to choose that one. Okay. In Miami, I don't know if there might be several people in Miami on here as well. I know Miami, it's the opposite. The buyers choose the title company. So if you're from Miami, then you would check this one here where it says buyer shall designate closing agent and pay for owner's policy. All right. But obviously I'm in Orlando, so I'm going to do the first one because sellers are choosing title. Okay. All right. So now we're going to come down here to home warranty. You know, sellers are not really offering home warranty unless you're dealing with like new construction. That might be something that you could get for your clients. But for the most part, with the resales, you're not dealing with home warranties. So you're just going to put not applicable, which is going to be option C. But if you did want to purchase some sort of home warranty for your clients or the sellers were offering it, you could click, you know, at closing, the buyer shall pay, or at closing, the seller shall pay. And you can put that right here. So now here under special assessments, you're going to have to check one here as well. It says seller shall pay installments due prior to closing. Buyer shall pay installments after closing. That's option A. Excuse me. Option B, seller shall pay in full prior to or at the time of closing, and then allow any assessments by the public body to be prepaid. So typically with this, most people are choosing A, because the seller shall be held responsible before closing and the buyer shall be held responsible after closing. Okay. Now you're going to scroll down here. These are just describing disclosures that may be included with the contracts. All right. So keep going. There's really nothing to fill out here in these parts, but you still want to understand what's in the contract. Okay. And now section 12, this is going to be property inspection, right to cancel. This is very important as well, guys. Basically right here in this blank is going to be the length of the inspection period. So now in this market with the sellers and with everything going so fast and everything being so competitive, a lot of people are either taking very short inspection periods or none at all. Okay. You have to explain to your clients that this is a period where they have the right to cancel the contract for any reason, really. They don't even have to have a specific reason. So say, for example, I put 5 days here, right? The sellers agreed to give us a 5-day inspection period / cancellation period, okay? This is basically the period for us to do our due diligence, to do any inspections on the property, termite inspections, septic inspections, plumbing inspections, roof inspections, you know, anything of that sort. You come upon a lot of different situations in real estate. So basically that's just a given time frame for you and the buyer to do any type of due diligence you would like to do on the property. And if something were to arise that the client was not happy about or didn't have the funds to take care of, or whatever the case, they could just say, hey, you know what? I don't think this is the property for me. I found this and this wrong. This has never been replaced. This is not functioning properly. I want to cancel. Okay. So you would have to put that 5-day inspection in there, and you would have to make sure that within 5 days after the contract is signed, you cancel before those 5 days without any consequences. Okay. So that basically is like a protection period for you and your clients. But a lot of people, what they're doing now to be more competitive is they're doing 0-day inspections, which basically means that once everything is signed and going, they cannot back out of the deal. Well, they can, but there will be, of course, consequences for that. But basically, this is just saying that, hey, we're in it, we're fully in, and we're not even giving that contingency. You're basically removing that contingency from the contract by putting 0 days here. You know, a lot of people are being extra competitive by removing that contingency and getting their offers accepted that way. You know, it is a little bit riskier, but if your clients want that house bad enough, they will be willing to waive inspection and sometimes even financing. So if you were to waive inspection, you would put 0, okay? But let's just say, for example, we negotiated 5 days with the sellers, okay? I'm just gonna put 5 there. Let's keep going. Okay, so, you know, it's just more of a contract. There's really nothing to fill out on a few of these pages here, okay? It is a very long contract, so get to know this contract on your own time, okay? Excuse me. All right, so we're gonna keep scrolling. We're gonna keep scrolling. Da 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 da. All right. So basically, we've reached, you know, the end of the contract. You know, the pages from like 7 to 10 or 7 to 11. There's really not much you have to input there. You're just gonna have to come down here to page 11, okay? And you're gonna have to make sure you click any addendums that you are including with your offer. Sometimes the listing agents will have attached documents on the MLS, and that's going to be under a little paper clip at the top of the listing. And if you click that paper clip, you will see any uploaded documents that the listing agent has included for you to download and have your clients sign and then attach to your offer, okay? So for the most part, some of the most used addendums are going to definitely be HOA addendums, okay? So if there is an HOA, you have to include the HOA disclosure that basically lays out what the fees are and who they can contact regarding HOA, okay? So if that's the case, you would click here B, Homeowners Association, because you will be including that addendum with your contract. Say for example, the house is older than 1978. You're dealing with an older property that was fully renovated or whatever. You would come here and you would click lead-based paint disclosure because you are including that one in your contract. Let's see, say for example, you're doing a post-closing occupancy. There's tenants in the house. They need to stay for an extra couple weeks after closing. You would come here and you would do post-closing occupancy, okay? And you would include that with your offer. So it just depends on the situation that you're dealing with. But you know, you would want to just check off that you are including those addendums. So for this specific situation, let's just say there's an HOA. We'll click Homeowners Association and just leave it like that, okay? And now we're coming into the last page. Here are an additional terms, okay? This is a big blank space for you to include any terms that you did not include in the rest of the contract. So let's say, I don't know, let's say for example, Jessica's buying this property from somebody who is renting it out to people, but she wants to live in the house. So she wants the tenants out by closing, right? Because she wants to live in the house. So in these additional terms, she calls me. She says, "Hey, Jennifer, I'm happy with this offer. However, I do want to live in the property after closing. Do you think you could put in the contract that I want the tenants out by closing?" And I'll say, "Sure, Jessica, let's see if we can make that happen." So right here in the additional terms, I will put tenants will vacate property on closing of the sale of the subject property. And home will be vacant. So you can kind of word it however you want. I'm just doing this as an example. So basically you would just include it here for your client that she wants the tenants out upon closing of the sale and she wants the property vacant. So I'm just going to add that in here in additional terms so that the seller and the listing agent can see that that is what we are expecting. That is what my client wants. Okay. And then down here, you have buyer and seller. So your client, you would send it for e-signing. They're going to sign and date here, and they're going to also initial the bottom of every single page where it says buyer's initials. So I would just add an initial box here where it says buyer's initials on every single page and make sure that they sign and date here on the very last page of the purchase contract, which is page 12. All right. Then down here, very important as well, you have cooperating sales associate, cooperating broker. This is how you are going to get paid and get credit for the sale. So make sure you have this information filled out. Okay. So I'm going to put Lifestyle International Realty here. Make sure my name is there correct. And then I'm going to put the listing sales associate. Let's just say her name is Brooke Williams. Then listing broker, let's just say Coldwell Banker. Okay, so this is where you're gonna put the listing agent's name and brokerage and make sure that your name and brokerage is here under the cooperating sales associate. So if you are the buyer's agent, your name and brokerage needs to be here on the very last page. If you are the listing agent, then your information would be here, okay? So make sure that is correct before you send it off, okay? So that's basically the end of it. When you do, you wanna make sure you save because you can click up here and press save and exit. That will automatically save it and exit it for you. If you're ready to send it off for signing right away, just click the pen up here and click sign. All you will need is your client's name and email. Just enter their information. Make sure that you have an initial box on every single page at the bottom for your clients to initial. And then on the last page, have the buyer sign and date here. And boom, you officially have a completed offer. And then once that is signed, you can download it and send it in an email to the listing agent along with their pre-approval, okay? So that basically wraps it up. So I kind of want everybody to unmute and give me some feedback or if they have any questions. I would love to go over that now. It's 12:52, so I kind of want to wrap this up at 1. So for the next few minutes, I just want to take any questions or feedback from anyone here.
Yes, this question doesn't have anything to do with the contract. What's the commission in Orlando, the regular commission for agents?
Typically, you're going to be looking at anywhere from 2 to 3% of the
Okay.
purchase price.
Gotcha.
2% is on the lower end. You typically want to try and get 2.5 to 3.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any feedback or questions about the contract, about how to fill it out, about anything I went over? Anyone?
So many that I don't even know. Okay.
All right, y'all. Well, I guess then we'll just wrap it up here. I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you for being here to learn a little bit about the as-is contract. Remember, this is going to be your bread and butter. This is going to be the main paperwork you're going to be filling out pretty much constantly if you're dealing with buyers, especially having to submit multiple offers. So get familiarized with this. Go on transaction desk, open up a blank form, just kind of scroll through it, read it through, take tutorials on YouTube, whatever you have to do. Just make sure you learn this contract from page 1 to page 12, okay? You will get questions about this contract. I do all the time.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, everybody have a wonderful day. And for Orlando people, we're doing headshots tomorrow here at the Orlando headquarter office starting at 11 to 2 p.m. So that's going to be first come, first serve, guys. So we're going to have a photographer here sponsored by the home team. So if you do need professional headshots for marketing or business cards, tomorrow is a great time for you to come and get those done for free, guys. Okay. So definitely be here if you need that. All right. So hope everyone has a good one. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.